Recording in progress.
So the process of bhakti is so simple that there is a small story. Once there was a lazy person, but he was a nice person. Okay, but he was lazy. So every day he used to eat food 3 times a day, and then he wouldn't do anything. So seeing this boy in that lazy situation, the parents got frustrated, and one fine day they told him that why don't you go outside and then earn your own livelihood? You earn your own food, okay? Earn your own bread and butter, and make some living by yourself. You are big enough. You're an adult. So make your livelihood by yourself. So then this boy decided to step out of the home, and then he was looking for a nice place to live. So when he was going around, he found one nice ashrama where there are some saintly people, and then there is a spiritual master and disciples living there. So this person, because he was very lazy, every day he would just eat 3 times a day, and he was just lazy. He wouldn't do anything. So he put on some weight. He was fat, little fat. Now, when he came to this ashram, first he saw the spiritual master. He was also fat. And then after some time, he saw the disciples. Many of them were also fat. Then he decided, okay, this is the right place for me. All these people seem to be, little heavy. They're little fat. That means I'll be fed very nicely here. If I join this ashram, I'll be fed very nicely. That was his intention. So he approached the spiritual master and he requested him, can I join your ashram? And then the spiritual master said, why not? And then he joined the ashram. The first 2 weeks went by very nicely. And then the real test came on the 15th day. 15th day was Ekadashi day. And today happens to be Ekadashi day. Okay. How many of you observe Ekadashi? Because this ritual of observing Ekadashi is not only there in ISKCON.
I am observing.
You are observing? Yeah,
Yes.
very good. So, how do you observe, Amma?
Only vegetables and fruits. Avoiding dhanyam.
Avoiding grains, right?
Grains.
So you eat only vegetables, fruits,
Yes.
or maybe nuts. Yeah. Okay. So that is one kind of fasting. And some people, they do not eat anything. On the day of Ekadashi, they do not eat anything. And Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya people, they eat cracked wheat upma. Okay. So the concept is basically either you can fast completely, don't eat anything, or if at all you have to eat anything that is not related to grains. Okay, like sabudana or quinoa. So avoid rice, wheat, dal, avoid beans, some other vegetables. You can eat many vegetables. You can eat potato, you can eat tomato, you can eat bell pepper. So many vegetables you can eat, but there are some vegetables you have to avoid, and grains you have to avoid, because it is mentioned in the Shastras that the evil person, okay, the evil person resides on the grains on the day of Ekadashi. On the day of Ekadashi, the evil person means the personification of evil. Okay, for everything in the material world, there is a personification. For example, when you talk about love, there is a personification. When you talk about compassion, there is a personification. There is a person who is presiding this quality of compassion. Okay, for every quality, for every material object that we see in the material world, there is a personification. Similarly, for the quality of evil, there is a personification called evil person. Okay. So then on the day of Ekadashi, Kali Purusha, he resides on the grains. So that's why it is recommended to avoid grains. And Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya people, they eat cracked wheat. That means when the wheat is cracked, it's not considered grain. Okay. So, but some people, they fast completely. They don't eat anything. And I know many people who do not even drink water. Okay. So there are different levels of austerities. Okay. Coming back to our story. So the ashram where this person has joined, on the day of Ekadashi, they do not eat anything. They do not cook anything. They do not eat anything. So this person who joined there after 2 weeks on the day of Ekadashi, on the 15th day, he was waiting. He was waiting for food. Okay, no breakfast, and then he waited until lunchtime. No lunch, and then he could not stay. So he went to the spiritual master and asked, so I cannot live without eating. Okay, can you give me some food? Then he said, today is Ekadashi. We don't cook anything today and we don't eat anything. But this person said, if I don't eat on the day of Ekadashi, I will not see Dwadashi. So he will not survive. Okay. So then the spiritual master said, okay, I'll make an exception for you. I'll give you some concession because you just joined newly. I'll give some exception. Okay. Then he said, I'll give you some ingredients. You go to a remote place on top of the hill, and then you can cook food by yourself and you can eat. But there is a condition. The spiritual master says, he says, you can eat whatever you want, you can cook whatever you want, you can eat whatever you want, but you cannot eat anything until you offer bhoga to the Lord. So whatever you cook, you offer as a bhoga to the Lord, as a naivedyam to the Lord. Okay. This man agreed. It's a very simple thing, right? It's a simple ask, very easy thing to do. So then he takes all the ingredients to the top of the hill, and then close the door. Yeah. And then he cooks some food, and then before he was about to eat, he remembers the instruction that he has to offer bhoga. He has to offer bhoga to the Lord. And he never read Shastras. He's a very simple person, very nice person. He never read Shastras. He doesn't know any mantras. He doesn't know how to offer bhoga. He doesn't know how to offer naivedya. Then his understanding was, when he has to offer bhoga or naivedya to the Lord, his understanding was he has to call. He has to call the Lord, and the Lord will come and eat personally. Okay. So then he'll call the Lord, and all this story happened in Ayodhya. So obviously he called out for Lord Ramachandra. Okay. So he calls out for Lord Ramachandra by singing a nice kirtan. So he says, Raja Ram आइए मेरे राम आइए मेरे भोजन को भोग लगाइए. So he calls out for Lord Ramachandra. And then Lord Ramachandra does not come. Then he's wondered, why he's not coming. My spiritual master asked me to offer bhoga to the Lord, and I am calling Lord Ramachandra to come and eat, but he does not come. Then he thinks, okay, maybe I'm making some simple food, but every day he comes to the ashram, because in the ashram they make elaborative bhoga to the Lord. They make rice, dal, sabji, some sweets, some pakoda, all those things, everything served with ghee. Maybe there are some delicious items served in the ashram or in the temple. That's why the Lord goes there. And I'm very new to cooking. I don't know cooking. I just made some kacha pacha cooking. Maybe that's why Lord is not coming. Okay. So then he continues his kirtan, saying that Raja Ram aiye, mere Ram aiye, mere bhojan ko bhog lagaiye. Still the Lord doesn't come. Okay. Then he gets an idea that, okay, let me tell Lord Ramachandra that today it's a fasting day in the ashrama or in the temple and they don't cook anything. There is no food available, there is no bhoga available. So Lord Ramachandra has to come here, even though my cooking is very bad. Whatever I am made, that is the only option for Lord Ramachandra. Okay. So then he continues his kirtan, saying that भूल करोगे यदि त्यजुदोगे, भूल करोगे यदि त्यजुदोगे, कानारू की सूखी, कानारू की सूखी, एकादशी है मंदिर में तू बैठ रहोगे भूखे. So I hope some of you understand Hindi. Yeah? Okay, who don't understand Hindi? Okay, everybody understands Hindi. Yeah. So he says, एकादशी है मंदिर में तू बैठ रहोगे भूखे. He is telling to Ramachandra, saying that if you are thinking of going to temple or ashrama, there is no food there. So you better come here. Okay. So then, then hearing all this, Lord Ramachandra, he smiles. Okay. He smiles and tells to Sita Devi, okay, let's go and eat at this place today. And then Ramachandra comes along with Sita Devi. And looking at them, he is puzzled. This man is puzzled. He should be happy, right? When he sees God, he has called out for God. And when God arrives there, he should be happy. Instead, he is puzzled. Why he is puzzled? He made food only for two people. One plate for Ramachandra, one plate for himself. But who have arrived there? Ramachandra arrived along with Sita Devi. That's why he is puzzled. And when two guests are there, he has to offer food to both of them. So then Ramachandra asks, you don't appear to be happy. Are you not happy seeing us? Then he said, no, I'm happy. Please come. So they come inside and then, he offers bhoga to Ramachandra and Sita Devi. And then they eat, they leave. And then this man goes back to the ashram. Another 2 weeks pass very nicely. And again another Ekadashi comes. Okay. And again his struggle starts. So this time he goes to the spiritual master and he tells, Oh Guruji, please give me more ingredients. Because do Bhagavan aa rahe. Ek Bhagavan nahi, do Bhagavan aa rahe. Then the spiritual master, he's wonder. He's surprised. Dodo Bhagavan? He's telling as if the Bhagavan is actually coming. Maybe he wants to eat in the night also, or maybe he wants to eat extra dose of his meal. So he gives. Anyway, he gives more ingredients. So he takes more ingredients and goes to the top of the hill. And then again he cooks. And then this time he makes 3 plates. One for Ramachandra, one for Sita Devi, and one for himself. And then he sings the song again. Raja Ram aiye, mere Ram aiye, Sita Ram aiye, mere bhojan ko bhog lagaiye. And then Ramachandra comes, Sita Devi comes, along with Lakshmana. And then he is puzzled. He is puzzled again. And then Ramachandra asks the same question. Are you not happy? He says, no, I'm happy. I'm happy. Please come. So all the 3 plates are gone. Then he decides, okay, it looks like I have to fast Ekadashi today. So he observes Ekadashi by completely fasting. And then another Ekadashi. Okay, so he goes back to the ashram. 2 weeks pass by, and then 3rd Ekadashi comes, and then he goes to the hill again, and then this time he makes 4 plates, one for Lord Ramachandra, one for Sita Devi, one for Lakshmana, and one for himself. He makes 4 plates, and then he sings the song again. Raja Ram aiye, mere Ram aiye, Sita Ram aiye, Lakshman saath laiye, mere bhojan ko bhog lagaiye. And then all of them come. Ramachandra, Sita Devi, Lakshmana, and this time Hanuma. Hanuma also comes. And then again he is puzzled. Okay. So, and then what to do? He offers 4 plates to the 4 guests. And then he observes the Ekadashi by completely fasting. And then he goes back to the ashram. Another 2 weeks pass by nicely by feasting. And then this time he wants to cook as much as possible because he's not sure how many people will come. First he was expecting only 1, 2 people came, then 3 people came, then 4 people came. This time he doesn't want to take any chance. Okay, at any cost he wants to eat. Okay, so then he asks for a lot of ingredients. He tells, "Oh Guruji, give me 10 kilos of rice, 10 kilos of atta, 10 kilos of dal, 10 kilos of vegetables. Give me a lot. Everything you give me in sufficient quantity." Then the Guruji gets a doubt. Something is going on. Okay, something is not right. Either he's selling all this stuff outside or something is not right. Then he wants to go and observe. So he goes behind this man to the top of the hill and he observes. So this man, after taking all the ingredients, he cooks. This time he cooks for a lot of people. Like for example, 10 or 20 people. Okay. And then he sings the song again. But this time, Lord Ramachandra comes along with Sita Devi, Lakshmana, Hanuma, Bharata, Shatrugna, Kausalya, Sumitra, Kaikeyi, all the Parivara. Okay, all the Parivara. The entire family comes. Dasharatha, entire family comes. Then this man, he doesn't cook actually. This time he doesn't cook. He just sings the song. He doesn't cook. Then when everybody comes, Ramchandra and all the Parivara, when all of them come, this man, he climbs up the tree and he tells, "Okay, you all came, you all cook by yourself and you all eat by yourself." Then Lord Ramachandra, he cuts vegetables. Lakshmana, Shatrugna and all, they cut vegetables. And all the ladies, including Sita Devi, they actually cook. They actually cook by their own hands. And then, but this man, the Guruji who came behind this man, he cannot see all this. He cannot see Lord Ramachandra. He cannot see the entire Parivara coming and they are all cooking. He does not see anything. All he is able to see is this man climbing up the tree and just relaxing. He is not cooking anything. All the ingredients are there only. So he is surprised. And he goes near this man and then asks, "Hey, why are you not cooking? What are you doing here?" Then he says, "No, can't you see everything? Ramachandra is cooking, Ramachandra is cutting vegetables, Sitamma is cooking by herself. Can't you see all this?" Then Guruji laughs at him, saying that, "What are you talking? You know, Ramachandra coming and cutting vegetables, Sitamma is cooking by herself. I think you have gone mad." Then he goes to Ramchandra and asks him, "Oh Prabhu, please give darshan to my Guruji. If he don't give darshan to my Guruji, he will mistaken me. He will think that I am selling all these ingredients outside and making some profit, or he will misunderstand me basically. Okay, so please give darshan to him." And then Ramchandra gives darshan to the Guruji, and all of them, Sitamma, Lakshmana, Hanuma, everybody, they all give darshan to Guruji. And then he cries. The Guruji cries and falls at the feet of this man and tells him that, "You are a true devotee. You are a true devotee. I have been struggling all my life. I have been doing so many pujas, reciting so many shlokas, doing so many austerities, homas, everything. But I haven't gotten darshan of the Lord. Whereas you are such a simple person. Looking at your simplicity, and your innocence, looking at your innocence, the Lord appeared when you called him. Our understanding of offering bhoga is we offer bhoga and we do not have complete faith that the Lord will actually come and eat. Whereas you, even though you have not learned any shastras, even though you have not, you have not done any austerities, still you have complete faith on the Lord that offering bhoga to the Lord means Lord will come in person and eat. As they say, faith can move mountains, right? So just like that, the Guruji tells to this man that because of your strong faith on Lord, the Lord reciprocated to you and he appeared. He came personally and accepted your offering. So that's an example to show how simple bhakti is. You just have to be very simple hearted. So right now, all of us, we are very hard-hearted. There are so many contaminations in our heart, so many anarthas. We just have to become a simple person to practice bhakti. That's why the process of bhakti is very simple. It's very easy to practice, very simple. Everybody can do it. There's no qualification needed. So with that, we'll begin today's discussion. So we're going to discuss summary of all the 18 chapters. Okay, we'll try. We have another 1 hour 15 minutes. We'll try to discuss the summary of all the 18 chapters. So this is like getting a dump file of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Remember from the Unix or Linux days, you get a .dmp file, and then you extract that. You get bunch of other files, and then you install the software. So right now, what we are doing is we are downloading the dump file .dmp file, and then we'll spend another 2 or 3 years to extract all the files in the .dmp file, and then install the software, understand, apply, and release and preach to others, right? It should not just stop with you. You learn, you practice in your life, and then you share it with others. Okay? So, yeah. So before we begin, let me ask you a question. Because we had a Q&A session, right? You all asked me so many questions. I did not ask you any question. So let me ask. Yeah, by the way, what's your name? Amulya. Your name? Ravi. Okay. Coming for the first time, right? Yeah. Are you in the WhatsApp group? Just joined today? Okay, good. So you joined at the right time. We are discussing summary of all the 18 chapters, and then we'll take a deep dive into all the shlokas. There are 700 shlokas in Bhagavad Gita. We'll discuss each and every shloka in detail. Okay, but right now we'll just do a summary. So I was going to ask you a question, right? Yeah, the question is, so why should we even read Bhagavad Gita? Why should we even practice bhakti? Why should we even do this? Can't we lead the life the way we were doing before?
Understand the purpose of this life?
Okay. Can't we lead our life without understanding the purpose of life? There are many people, there are billions of people living in the world without understanding purpose of life.
To understand the right way to live life, what are the principles?
Yeah, again, there are many people living without understanding that.
That is okay. It's still our choice to kind of make that conscious decision.
Yeah, so maybe we are making a wrong choice because majority of the people, almost 7 billion people, maybe they are making a right choice. They are the majority, right? We are minority. We are less than 1% of the entire population of the world. So maybe we are making a wrong choice here.
Progress in the spiritual path, so that eventually, in some janma, we can go back.
Eventually, okay, to progress on the spiritual path. Yeah. So yeah, we can lead a life. We can lead a materialistic life without worrying about spirituality, right? Spirituality is all about rules and regulations, do's and don'ts. You have to read Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahabharata. You have to come to the temple, all those things. You lost some of your freedom, right? Otherwise, Saturday evening or Sunday evening, you can just chill and you can have fun. So why can't we do that?
Can move back to spiritual world.
To go back to spiritual world. Okay. What is the need? What is the need to go back to spiritual world when I'm living happily here?
Are we living happy?
Huh?
Are we living happy?
Are we living happy? Very good. Going back to the topic 1 of DYS. Are we happy? Yes. Very good.
Would be closer to God in the spiritual world.
To move closer to God.
In the spiritual world.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think we discussed. Huh?
Be it Sudharma or Nikarma, we need to born again and again.
Mhm.
So to get ourselves free from all the things,
Yeah.
we can do this karma
Yeah.
by reading and attending the Bhagavad Gita class and go to the spiritual world.
Yeah.
The one what you said in the first
Yeah.
class.
Yeah. Good. So good. You all remembered some of the points that we discussed. Yeah. Okay. So the way to understand this is, even though there are majority of the people in this world who are leading completely, materialistic life, and apparently they seem to be happy, right? Especially people in the Western countries, they have all the comforts of life. So looking at them, we think, okay, they are happy without even, practicing spirituality, without even coming to the temple. They are very happy. And here I'm scratching my head. I'm struggling very hard, trying to figure out who is God and what is, this shloka, that shloka in Bhagavad Gita, what is Ramayana, all those things. Uh, so, so the thing is, even if you put spirituality aside for some time, uh, the discipline or some kind of sacrifice, austerity are definitely needed in life. Okay, even to succeed in material life, okay, even to lead material life happy, you need some kind of discipline. You need to follow do's and don'ts, rules and regulations. For example, when you are driving a car, you need to follow the driving laws. You cannot just say that, okay, hell with the DMV laws. I want to drive. I'm the king. I own this car, and I'm the king. I can drive the way I want. You cannot say that. So what's the problem with that approach? That's the point of discussion, right? So just like the person who is driving, if he does not want to follow any driving laws and just drive whimsically, what's the problem with that?
Excellent.
That will lead to destruction of himself and also others, right? And there's no spirituality. There's no concept of spirituality here. This is completely materialistic, just driving a car. So even a simple task as driving a car requires uh, some rules and regulations. Okay. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 16, Yas Shastra Viddhi Muchrijya Vartate Kama Karatai Nasasiddhim Avapnoti Nasukam Naparam Gatim. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita chapter 16, saying that everything must be done according to Shastra. Yat Shastra Viddhi Muchrijya Vartate Kama Karatai. So everything must be done according to Shastras. If we do not do that, Krishna tells in the next 2 lines, Nasasiddhim avapnoti. That means one who has not done this Nasukam na param gatim. Nasukam means there's no happiness in this material world. Not na param gatim means he cannot go to higher destination. Forget about spiritual world, forget about heavenly world, forget about spirituality, all these things. Forget about going to God, all those things. But what Krishna is telling is, if a person does not do his activities according to Shastras, he cannot be happy even within this material world. Okay? So even to be happy in the material world, one must do things according to Shastras. For example, following the driving laws, the DMV book is kind of Shastra. Okay, it's a law book. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita is a law book. For this life or for this body, Bhagavad Gita is a law book. Yes.
So for DMV, everyone has the same set of rules.
Yes.
So, but if different people have different set of rules, then that can also lead to maybe some destruction.
Yeah.
So even in the case of Bhagavad Gita,
Yeah.
how do we make sure that everyone follows the same set of rules? Like if different people have different set of rules.
So Bhagavad Gita is universal. It is applicable at all times and to everyone. Not only Indians, not only Chinese, not only Americans, Japanese. It's applicable to everyone. Not only this world, not only this universe. It's applicable to all the worlds, all the universes in the creation. There are billions of universes, right? We know only about this universe. We know about the planets in this universe. We know about the world in this universe. But we do not know about other universes. There are billions of universes, and there are billions of planets in each of those, in all those universes combined. And there is life in every planet of those universes. So this Bhagavad Gita is applicable to everybody in all the universes. Okay. So the other religions, the other so-called religions, the man-made religions, like Hindu religion, okay, there's no such thing as Hindu religion actually. It's just man-made. After 500 years, you may not even hear the word Hindu. Okay, because everything that is made by man is temporary. It will vanish. With time, it will vanish. So Hindu religion, Christianity, Islam, Jewish, these are all man-made religions. They are there today. But after a few hundred years, they will disappear. So what is our true religion? What's our true religion? Sanatana Dharma. That's the only religion. Eternal Sanatana, the word Sanatana means eternal. And religion means duty. Our eternal duty is, what is that?
Service to God.
Service to God. Service to God is the only duty. And any scripture, Quran, Bible, all the Bhagavad Gita, all the scriptures, they talk about only one thing. How to develop love for God and how to serve God with love. So the message is universal. Across the board, the message is universal. And it's applicable to everyone. So the actual versions of Bible and Quran, they were authentic. They talked about developing love for God, and they talked about non-violence, do not kill animals, all those things. But over a period of time, everything was manipulated, and there were different commentaries and different versions of Quran and Bible. So if you look at the Bible that's available today, it says, thou shalt not murder. Instead of saying thou shalt not kill, it says thou shalt not murder. Because what's the difference between kill and murder? Murder means this verb is used only for human beings. Whereas kill means it's applicable to everything, animals and human beings, tree, everything. So they changed it. They changed the word kill to murder. They said thou shalt not murder. That means you cannot murder any human being, but you can kill animals and eat. That's their interpretation, which is wrong. Okay. So Quran and Bible, the history of Quran and Bible is only 1000+ years. Whereas the history of Bhagavad Gita is Eternal. At least the history that we know is the most recent time when Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna was 5,000 years ago. And prior to that, as Krishna mentioned in Bhagavad Gita itself, chapter 4, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita for the first time to sun god Vivaswan. Okay, that was millions of years ago. So we have a long history of Bhagavad Gita, which talks about this eternal religion, Sanatana Dharma. Okay, does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. By the way, when we talk about question and answer, which is more important? Question? Okay, how many of you say question? Okay, few of them. How many of you say no, answer is more important than question? Okay, okay, some of them. How many of you say both are important? Okay, how many of you say none of none of them are important? So, yeah, whoever said question is more important than answer, that's right. So unless there is a question, there's no need to answer the question, right? There's no need for answer. Unless Einstein came up with a question like, what would it be to travel at the speed of light? What would it be to travel at the speed of light? Unless he has this question, he wouldn't have come up with the theory of relativity. The moment he asked this question, he researched and came up with an answer, theory of relativity. And we discussed during that Q&A topic, unless Arjuna asked this question to Krishna, what is the best thing for me to do now on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? I am in a dilemma. I am bewildered with the Dharma Sankata or Dharma Sammuda. So what should I do now? Should I fight or no? So unless Arjuna asked that question, we wouldn't have received answers from Krishna in the form of Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana. Unless Valmiki asked that question, who is that man in the world who possesses all these virtuous qualities? Then Narada spoke about Ramachandra. So question is more important than answer. That's why in the Shastra, in the Brahma Sutras are some coded instructions. If you look at the instruction or the English translation of the Sanskrit sutra, it doesn't make much sense. For example, atato brahma jignasa. It means, thus you inquire. Now, what does it mean? Thus you inquire. Okay. So we need help of a guru to interpret this, to decode this, so that we can understand. So the Acharyas have decoded this sutra, Brahma Sutra, Atato Brahma Jignasa, saying that you have taken human birth, thus you inquire. You have taken human birth, thus you inquire. That means question again, the importance of question. We should ask questions like, who am I? What is the purpose of my life? Where am I going after death? Who is God? What is Prakriti? What is the spiritual world? Where is spiritual world? Questions like that. So we should question. We should develop this art of asking questions. Okay. Okay. Now there are 18 chapters in Bhagavad Gita. The first six chapters collectively known as Karma Yoga. Chapter 1 to chapter 6 collectively known as Karma Yoga. And middle 6 chapters, chapter 7 to 12 are collectively known as Bhakti Yoga. And the last 6 chapters, chapter 13 to 18 are collectively known as Jnana Yoga. So Karma, Bhakti and Jnana. So we should not take these 3 sections separately. Karma and Jnana, they have to culminate in Bhakti. Unless karma is culminated with bhakti, there's no use of it. Unless jnana is culminated in bhakti, there's no use of it. So karma yoga. Yoga means to connect with God. So you connect with God by your work. And jnana yoga, you connect with your God by cultivating knowledge about God. But eventually they have to culminate in bhakti. So what is bhakti? Bhakti means devotional service. Some people translate bhakti, the word bhakti, as devotion. But the actual meaning of the word bhakti is devotional service. Devotion means there's no activity, right? There's some feeling. Okay, I love God. Now, if a boy and girl are in love and the boy says, I love you, and then he doesn't do anything for the girl, okay, the girl very soon she'll find another boy. So, love means action. Love is a verb. Love is not a noun. Love is not a noun or an adjective. It's a verb. It's an action. Love means action. So, you do something for your beloved. So, even though one can practice karma yoga or jnana yoga and connect with God, but you have to do something for the beloved. You have to do something for that beloved that you are connected with, and that is bhakti, devotional service. Okay, so chapter 1, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. All the chapters in Bhagavad Gita, they have Sanskrit name and English name. The Sanskrit names were given by Shankaracharya. Okay, and all those Sanskrit names given by Shankaracharya are used by all the acharyas. There are various acharyas who have given commentary on Bhagavad Gita, like Ramanujacharya, Gita Bhashyam, Madhvacharya, Srila Prabhupada. All the acharyas have given different commentaries. All of them use the same Sanskrit names, but they have given different English names based on time, place, and circumstances. To make it easy for the people to understand nicely, they have given different English names, but the message is same. So, chapter 1, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So, this chapter, the title is Vishada Yoga, right? Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Now, how can Vishada connect with God? Because the word yoga means connecting with God. How can Vishada or lamentation, how can lamentation connect with God? Just like when you say karma yoga, your work can help you connect with God. That makes sense. But Vishada, if somebody is lamenting, how will it help us connect with God? So, because Arjuna was lamenting, he was in a dilemma whether to fight or not. He was perplexed between Kula Dharma and Kshatriya Dharma. So, when we go to the details of chapter 1, we'll discuss the history of this Kurukshetra war. How did it all start in the very first place? We'll discuss all those details that time. But since many of us already know about the history of Mahabharata, how the war actually started, just understand the fact that on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna, after seeing all the Kauravas and especially his teacher Dronacharya and grandfather Bhishma Dev, he was bewildered. He could not fight. He told Krishna that I cannot fight. These people are worthy of my worship. I cannot fight. I better leave on begging, but not cause the death of these people. I will incur sinful reactions. What am I going to achieve by killing my own people? Arjuna was so compassionate to Kauravas. Even though Kauravas, they are standing in front of him with so much greed to get the kingdom, but he is so compassionate towards Kauravas. He's saying, these are my own people. Even though they are standing in front of me, whereas I know what is right and wrong, why should I fight? I better leave on begging. But for a Kshatriya to leave on begging is worse than death. For a Kshatriya to leave on begging is worse than death. Okay. So then he was lamenting, Arjuna Vishada. Okay. So then when Arjuna was lamenting, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. So that's how the Vishada of Arjuna or the lamentation of Arjuna helps us connect with God. Now, we are all lamenting every day, right? We are all lamenting every day. Don't think that we are only lamenting when there is a difficulty. Okay? There is a difficulty all the time. We don't acknowledge, we don't accept it. We think we are happy, but the material world is like that. It's a place of miseries. So we are lamenting all the time, just like how Arjuna lamented on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. We are lamenting all the time. So when we ask questions like how Arjuna asked, then we will get the answers and we can connect with God. Observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So there is an important lesson that we can learn from this act of observing the armies. Okay. Now, when the war was set, both armies, they were standing in their own places. Kauravas and Pandavas, they were standing in their respective places. And Duryodhana observed the whole assembly in one perspective. And Arjuna, he observed the whole assembly in a different perspective. Duryodhana observed, how did Duryodhana observe this? Duryodhana, he brought 11 Akshoni Senas. Okay, Akshoni is nothing but a group. Okay, and in every group there are foot soldiers, there are chariot soldiers, there are horse riders, there are animals, other different kinds of animals. There are so many things, and the number of people in each group is a very large number. Okay, it's in some lakhs. So like that, he brought 11 Akshoni Senas. Whereas Pandavas, they brought only 7 Akshoni Senas. Now looking at that, Duryodhana was thinking, I have 11 Akshoni Senas and I have Dronacharya on my side. Dronacharya is the one who taught martial arts to both Pandavas and Kauravas. And I have grandfather Bhishma, who is the mightiest person, very difficult to be defeated. I have these two people and I have more number of soldiers on my side. Karna, yes. Yeah. Ashwatthama, Yeah, these are all great people on his side. So looking at this, Duryodhana's perception was victory is inevitable for him. Victory is inevitable for Duryodhana. So that was his observation. Now, how did Arjuna observe? Arjuna observed, he was not thinking that, okay, Krishna is on my side, I'm going to win. No, he was not thinking like that. So his observation was that of a person who is very compassionate. He was not even ready to kill. He was not even ready to fight the war. Even though Arjuna was a great Kshatriya, but he was not ready to fight the war. He has lot of great weapons, in his hand. Still, he was not ready to fight. Rather, he was observing the whole assembly with compassion, thinking that these enemies are my own people. How can I kill my own people? That was his observation. Okay, now let's analyze these two observations. Duryodhana's observation is totally wrong. Right? Just because he has more soldiers, just because he has Dronacharya and Bhishma Dev, thinking that victory is inevitable for him is not right. Okay, let's assume that is right. But what is he going to do? What is his goal? His goal is to get the kingdom unlawfully, right? Unlawfully. He is not entitled to get the kingdom. He is not entitled to get the kingdom. As per the Shastra, the elder person in the family is supposed to get the kingdom. But somehow he has encroached the kingdom and he wanted to retain it. So his observation is totally wrong. Now, let's analyze Arjuna's observation. Arjuna's observation uh, is of that of a person of compassion, right? Now, what do you say? Is it good or not good?
That's also wrong.
That's also wrong. Why?
Because he is not, he's confused. He is looking at them as like he is making all the actions
Yeah.
instead of like instead of looking at it from the perspective of like God is doing the things. He's thinking that he is the one who's actually going to go and like kill the people. So that's why his observation is like wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. So Duryodhana's observation, which is a bad observation, it's anyway bad. Anything in the material world also, right? Bad is anyway bad. We don't need to scratch our head to figure out why bad is bad. Bad is bad. Okay? But the so-called good is also bad. Arjuna's observation is good, as Krishna described, right? Arjuna's observation is good. But good is also bad. Why? Why good is bad? The good will be bad if it is not connected with God. Arjuna's observation out of compassion for his own people is good from material standpoint. But if that good is not connected with God, it's bad. It's as bad as bad. Okay? Now, there are many people in the world we see, right? People say that I'm not causing harm to any people. I'm feeding poor people. I'm doing some charity. Uh, but they don't come to the temple. They don't come to the temple. They don't read Bhagavad Gita. Huh? But their logic is that as long as I'm not causing harm to anybody, I'm a good person. But Krishna is telling that the so-called good is also bad. Unless it is connected with Krishna, with God, the so-called good is also bad. For example, Einstein. What is the greatest invention of Einstein?
Nuclear energy, atomic energy.
E equals to mc square, right? So when he created this formula E equals to mc square, little did he know that other people are going to use this formula to create nuclear weapons. He never imagined that. So E equals to mc square, if it is used for some constructive purpose, it is good. But if it is not connected with God, it is bad. Even the so-called good invention or good creation, like E equals to mc square, is bad because it's not connected with God. Okay? So now, what is the lesson that we need to learn from this is to connect with God or to serve God, even if we have to violate dharma, even if we have to violate principles, even if we have to do the so-called wrong thing, it is okay. Like Arjuna's fighting. How is it justified? Fighting is an act of violence, right? Shastras generally recommend non-violence. But Arjuna's act of fighting is an act of violence. It is okay because it is connected with God. It is done when the activity is done as a service to the Lord, it is okay. For example, when Yudhishthira Maharaj, we all know about Yudhishthira Maharaj, right? He never tells any lie. Okay? That's why Yudhishthira Maharaj also has another name. What is that? Dharmaraj. Okay? So he follows dharma to 200%. He never lied in his life. And everybody knows, all the Kauravas, Pandavas, everybody, all the Devatas, everybody knows, including Krishna, everybody knows that he will never lie. Now, in the assembly where the Kauravas were disrobing Draupadi, Shakuni asked Yudhishthira Maharaj one thing, saying that we will not, we'll spare Draupadi from this act of disrobing only if Yudhishthira tells that he did not put Draupadi at stake in gambling. So Shakuni wanted to prompt, he wanted to provoke Yudhishthira to tell a lie. So the condition that Shakuni puts is, we will spare Draupadi, we will not disrobe her, but only on one condition, that if Yudhishthira tells that he never put Draupadi at stake in the gambling. Now Yudhishthira, is a man of truth. He doesn't want to lie. So he did not say the lie. Even to protect his own wife, he did not lie. But Krishna made him to violate that principle. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Krishna made Yudhishthira to break that principle. So when see, the Mahabharata war, the Kurukshetra war, lasted for 18 days. We have 18 chapters in Bhagavad Gita, and the war happened for 18 days. Okay. Now, by the way, when Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, he did not say like, okay, now chapter 1 begins. He did not say like that. Okay. He just recited the shlokas, just like a casual conversation. Let's say somebody asks you a question. Then you sit down in the sofa, you ask that person also take a seat, and then you have a casual conversation, right? Just like that, Krishna spoke. Krishna did not prepare, or Krishna did not make a plan that, okay, Arjuna is going to ask this question, I have to, speak Bhagavad Gita. It was not pre-planned like that. It was all dynamic. And Krishna recited all the 700 shlokas in 40 minutes. Okay, so you'll hear different things regarding the timeline. Some people say 1 hour 30 minutes. Some people say 40 minutes. Okay, so let's take it as 40 minutes. Okay, so in a very short time, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. Now, during those 18 days, and by the way, Bhagavad Gita was spoken before the war actually began. Okay, everybody was prepared, everybody was ready to fight, but before the war began, Arjuna had this dilemma, and the entire Bhagavad Gita was spoken before the war actually began. Okay, so out of all the 18 days of the war, on one day, when Dronacharya was in charge of the Kauravas, he was the he's the captain anyway. He's the captain of Kaurava Sena. But on that particular day, he was in charge of standing in the front and shooting arrows. So then when Krishna saw this, he told Arjuna that now Dronacharya is going to shoot arrows. It is extremely difficult to defeat Dronacharya. Unless you go and tell him, that your son Ashwatthama has died. Now, Yudhishthira is a man of truth. He doesn't want to lie. So he says, no, Krishna, I cannot lie. Then Krishna, he asks him, go near the Dronacharya and tell him that there is a horse by name Ashwatthama that is died. Ashwatthama hata, and then you say Kunjaraha very slowly, very quietly. So that way you're not lying. Then Yudhishthira, what to do? To save Pandava Sena, he goes to Dronacharya and tells the same thing. Ashwatthama hata Kunjaraha. And then, because even though it's not a lie, but it's a lie, right? Because he lied, he had to see Narakaloka. He did not suffer there, but he had to get darshan of Narakaloka, and then and then he went back to higher destinations. So the purpose, the principle that we are talking about here is to protect dharma. If we have to adopt to the so-called abominable things, or if we have to adopt to violence, it is okay. So the good we discussed. Duryodhana's bad observation is anyway bad, and Arjuna's so-called good observation is also bad because it's not connected with God. Now, to serve God or to protect dharma, even if we have to break the principles, even if we have to commit to violence, it is okay. Okay. So another lesson that we can learn from chapter 1 is, in chapter 1 only Arjuna spoke. Krishna never spoke in chapter 1. Okay. So the lesson that we can learn from chapter 1 is we should become a good listener. Now, when Arjuna was in a problem, he started, speaking continuously. He started speaking without becoming ready to listen, and that's what we do in life, right? When there is a problem, we just scream, yell at people, and we dump everything. Whatever is going on in our mind, we dump everything. So the solution to people's problem is only one thing. What is the solution? Let's say somebody is facing some problems. They try different things, right? A counselor or some self-help, something they try. And what is one thing that works perfectly?
Listen to that person.
Just listen to that person. Okay? So you don't need to do anything. Just listen to that person. So now Arjuna, what did he do? He continuously dumped whatever was going on in his mind, trying to find solution by himself. But in the end, he realized that, okay, I'm not able to find solution with my own efforts. Now let me surrender and listen from an authority. So that's what we should learn in our life. We should be a good listener. When we don't know what to do, we should seek guidance. So now before we go to chapter 2, I want to pause here for a second. So we have a nice sincere devotee here. His name is Amritananda Prabhu. So as you all know, from next week I'll be gone for about 5 weeks. I'm traveling to India. So during my absence, so you have a new teacher, Amritananda Prabhu. So he's one of the senior most people here in ISKCON Seattle. He has been there since 99, Prabhu? 98. Yeah. So he's very learned. So the topic that he's going to discuss is Vedic cosmology. It's a very mind-boggling topic. Okay? You will have awe and reverence to everything that he's going to speak. It's a very rare conversation, very rare topic that you cannot read by yourself in the books and you cannot understand. Even if you read, you cannot understand. And he is the only person who has that subject matter expertise in the ISKCON Seattle who can teach. So I have requested him to discuss that topic, Vedic cosmology. So do you want to give a little 1 or 2 minute intro to that, Prabhu?
Nice meeting all of you for the first time, and very happy to help Kasam Prabhu through this journey of Vedic cosmology. There are other experts, by the way. I am not the only one. I know a little bit. I like the subject matter. But it is a very good topic to transition from whatever you have learned so far in Discover Yourself. So one time I was taking this Discover Yourself, and then this was in 2004 or 5, around that time. And then I completed all the topics, and there were many remaining questions. So I said, okay, let me bring up that chart, which I'm going to show you next week. And then we started the class at 7:30 in the evening, and it went till 12:30 in the night. There were so many questions. I said, you ask as many questions as you want to ask. and I'll try to answer to your satisfaction. So this is the way I learn. I mean, I teach, and I'm sure you also teach the same way. We encourage a lot of questions because questions are going to be there, and no questions are dumb questions. Whatever comes in your mind, just bring it up. Because here, we are discussing. So some of the things you may learn in order to learn that, you may have to learn other topics. So in those scenarios, I will say, okay, I'll I'll handle this particular question after some time. But if you have your paper and pen and if you write down what is your question, all the questions will be answered. There is nothing, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, verse number 2, that I am giving you this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. I am going to explain that too. And after knowing this, there is nothing more to be known. So this is Krishna's promise to Arjuna. So everything you will know, at least theoretically. Then realizing is a different aspect altogether. So I'm very excited. I did this course recently in Bothal group. Of course, I went even deeper with them. And each classes were like 3 hours. And I took like 5 classes, 15 hours. But I'm not expecting 15 hours over here unless you have, because there were so many questions and they kept asking and we kept discussing and it will be picture based. You'll see graphics, you'll see videos. So we'll have good time.
And Prabhu is known for nice presentations. So if you look at his slides, he spends I don't know, few weeks on each slide. So he puts a lot of thoughts and he prepares the slides very nicely. And he has prepared slides on various topics. Every section of Bhagavad Gita, every topic that you can think of from Bhagavad Gita. So many nice things. So you're going to have some nice time actually for the next 5 weeks. You're not going to see this routine boring conversation or routine boring face.
I've heard a very good devotees who have learned under you. I've heard so many good things about you, the way you explain, and I'm sure you have the same experience. So it's a journey, and we'll all go together. So be ready to ask questions. That's my request to all of you. So whatever thing comes in your mind, don't feel okay. Should I ask? Should I not? No, ask. If some doubt comes in your mind, ask. That is what I expect from you. As I said, I may not answer that right away, but I'll definitely answer all the questions you have by the end of all the classes.
Okay.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to meet all of you from next week. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So now chapter 2. So when Arjuna, he was in dilemma, so he says dharma sammuda chesta. He says karpanya dosho pahata svabhava pruchami tvam dharma sammuda cheta yat shreyasya nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. He says in chapter 2, shloka number 7, he says, "O Krishna, I am in a dilemma. I am stuck between Kula Dharma and Kshatriya Dharma. Kula Dharma is to protect his own people. Kshatriya Dharma is to fight the war. If he fights the war, he has to kill the people. He has to kill his own family members. So he is stuck between Kula Dharma and Kshatriya Dharma. So he asked Krishna, now I'm a soul surrendered to you. Like a disciple, I'm a soul surrendered to you. Please instruct me what is good for me." Then Krishna starts speaking. Krishna speaks in chapter 2. The title is Sankhya Yoga, contents of the Gita summarized. So Krishna gives a prelude of what he's going to speak in the later chapters. Okay, and chapter 18 is a summary of all the previous chapters that Krishna spoke. So in Sankhya Yoga, or in chapter 2, Krishna gives this analysis of matter and spirit. That's what is Sankhya Yoga is all about. The word Sankhya comes from the root word Sankhya. Sankhya means to count, generally to count numbers. But more deeper meaning of the word Sankhya is analysis of matter and spirit. Analysis of matter consists of dividing the matter into the 8 elements, the Pancha Mahabhuta, and then 3 other subtle elements. The Pancha Mahabhuta are earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are the gross materials. Okay, this is gross matter, and the subtle matter is mind, intelligence, and false ego. Okay, so we have 5 plus 3, gross matter and subtle matter, and then there are karmendriyas, 5 karmendriyas. There are 5 jnanendriyas. There are 5 sense objects. There are 3 modes of material nature. So combined all these things, the 8 elements of matter, the karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, and then the 5 sense objects, all these combined together, there will be 26 elements. So the analysis of matter consists of understanding all these 26 elements. And then spirit, the analysis of spirit consists of understanding the spirit soul, understanding the consciousness, understanding Atma, Paramatma, all those things. So Krishna gives some details about this matter and spirit, analysis of matter and spirit. So he encourages Arjuna to fight based on this analysis of matter and spirit. He says that matter is made up of these temporary elements, earth, water, fire, and ether. The body is made up of these Pancha Mahabhuta. So the material body, which is made up of these Pancha Mahabhuta, is going to come to an end. One fine day, it's going to come to an end. Whereas the spirit soul is eternal. Nobody can kill spirit soul. So Krishna gives knowledge of the soul. In about 20 shlokas, Krishna gives knowledge of soul. He says, Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatrana muhyate. Krishna says, Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yavanam jara. Just like how this body, this material body, grows or transforms from birth to childhood, to youthhood, to adulthood, and old age, and eventually death. How this material body transforms from one stage to another stage until death. Similarly, the spirit soul transmigrates from one body to another body at the time of death. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yavanam jara. Kaumara is childhood, yavanam youth, jara is old age. Kaumaram yavanam jara tata dehantara praptir. Dehantara means after death. After death, the soul attains a new body. Tada dehantara praptir dhiras tatrana muhyate means a person who knows this, a person who knows this fact that the soul never dies, soul is eternal, soul transmigrates from one body to another body at the time of death, he becomes sober. Sober means like a strong person. He does not lament. He does not lament for death. So Krishna starts with that shloka explaining the eternality of the soul. And then several other shlokas where Krishna talks about the attributes of the soul. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, nachainam kledayantyapo, nashoshayati marutaha. Krishna says, Nainam chindanti shastrani. There's no weapon that can cut the soul into pieces. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha. Pavaka means fire. So fire cannot, the soul cannot be burnt with fire. Soul cannot be cut into pieces with a weapon. Soul cannot be moistened with water. Soul cannot be destroyed with air. So Krishna gives all these characteristics or attributes of the soul. And then basically Krishna says soul is imperishable, whereas this material body is perishable. No matter how hard you try to save this body, you cannot. It's going to perish. And based on this philosophy, Krishna encourages Arjuna to fight. To fight, even if you have to kill the Kauravas, go and fight. Because you are not causing the death of the Kauravas eternally. That's okay, you can sit. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. You can sit. So based on this philosophy, Krishna encourages Arjuna to fight. But then Arjuna asks a question. Okay, fine, I get it. I'm not this body, but I'm the soul. But when I'm interacting with my own people, I'm interacting with their bodies. And anything that happens to their bodies or anything that happens to my body, it gives me pain. What should I do? Then Krishna says, learn to tolerate. Learn to tolerate pain. The material world is full of miseries. There is good and bad, there is happiness and distress. And happiness and distress are like winter and summer. They are like heat and cold. And one must learn to tolerate. So this is the very first instruction that Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita. 2.14, chapter 2, shloka number 14. Matra sparshastu kaunteya, shitoshna sukha dukkada, agama payino nityaha, tam stitikshasva bharata. This quality of titiksha, tolerance, one must learn to tolerate. Because the difficulties will come, they will come and go. Even the happiness, it will come and go. One should not be elated when there is happiness, and one should not be morose when there are difficulties. One must tolerate both happiness and distress and be equipoised. So this is the first instruction that Krishna gives. The discussion of this shloka is very deep. It's a very powerful instruction. We don't have the time in this discussion now today. But when we come to that shloka, we're going to spend like 3 or 4 classes just on that topic, art of tolerance. Okay, there are several arts that Krishna gives, in Bhagavad Gita. Art of tolerance, art of working, art of controlling mind, art of time management, art of controlling senses, art of time management. So many things, so many different arts, that we are all, looking forward to in our day-to-day life. So Krishna gives this instruction 2.14, and then Krishna gives knowledge of the soul, and then Krishna gives summary of entire Bhagavad Gita. What are he's going to speak in the later chapters, like Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, everything. Krishna gives prelude of everything. Another important shloka from this chapter is 2.47, art of working, Nishkama Karma Yoga. The most famous verse, Karmanye Vadikaraste. Karmanye Vadikaraste, Ma Phaleshu Kadachana, Ma Karma Phala Heturbur, Mate Sangos Akarmani. You are entitled to perform your duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your work. And never be attached to not doing your work. When in the first line, when Krishna says, you have a right to perform your work, but you are not entitled to the fruits. Now, where is the motivation there? So somebody will think, or everybody will think, okay, I don't even have to work then. If I am not entitled to the fruits of my action, why should I even work? That's why in the next line, Krishna says, never be attached to not doing your work. Mate sangost akarmani. Akarmani means not doing inaction, basically. The akarma that we discussed, that is different in the context. Okay. So here, the akarma that Krishna refers to is no action, inaction. So never be attached to not doing your work. And that's again another deep subject. When we come to that point, we'll discuss. And then towards the end of second chapter, Krishna Krishna talks about sense control. Sense control, he talks about sense control in 2 shlokas. When Arjuna asks, okay, so if somebody is practicing Nishkam Karma Yoga, as Krishna mentioned in Karmanye Vadikaraste, that person, he'll be equipoised. He'll be equipoised whether there is a success or failure. Because that is what Krishna asked, right? Just do your duty and don't worry about the result. Whether it is a success or failure, don't worry. Be equipoised. Arjuna's question is, after hearing this from Krishna, Arjuna's question is, how do I identify such a person called Sthita Prajna? Sthita Prajnasya Kabasha Kimasita Vrajeta Kim. So Arjuna asks, what are the qualities of a Sthita Prajna person? How does he sit? How does he walk? How does he speak? Then Krishna talks about the qualities of Sthita Prajna person and how to develop those qualities. Sthita Prajna means a person who is balanced in happiness and distress. Okay? So there are 2 important shlokas. Krishna gives powerful lessons about sense control, saying that this status of Sthita Prajna comes by practicing sense control. And Krishna says, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodho Bijayate. Krishna says, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha. Dhyayato means contemplation. When you contemplate on the sense objects, because the topic here is sense control, right? Now Krishna tells what happens if we don't control senses. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha. When you contemplate on sense objects for your own sense gratification, that contemplation leads to lust. Lust is a strong desire to achieve anything. Okay? You want to buy, let's say iPhone 16. Even though you don't have sufficient money to buy, but you want to buy. The more you contemplate on that, you see your friends are buying, everybody is buying. When you look at that phone, and then when you see some news saying that people are in a mad rush to the Apple store to buy iPhone, what is happening? You start contemplating on that object, sense object. And over a period of time, the more you contemplate, the stronger the desire becomes, and eventually it will transform into lust. So, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Pajayate. Sangha means attachment, strong attachment. So, the contemplation leads to attachment. And then the attachment leads to lust. If the lust is not fulfilled, if your strong desire is not fulfilled, it leads to anger. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammohat smriti vibramaha. Smriti bramshat buddhinasho. Buddhinashat pranashyati. So Krishna calls this as a 8-step process of fall down. He explains how a person can fall down from higher consciousness to lower consciousness. And what does it all start from? It starts from contemplation, dhyayato. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Bhajayate. Dhyaya, Sangha, and Sangha Sanjayate Kama. The attachment turns into lust. Kamat Krodho Bijayate. If lust is not fulfilled, anger. Sangha Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodho Abhijayate. And next shloka, Krodhat Bhavati Sammohaha. From anger comes delusion. From anger comes delusion. Sammoha means delusion. So what is delusion? Delusion, illusion, what is that?
Maya.
Maya, okay. So in simple words, identifying things incorrectly. You're saying something? Yes, very good. Being away from truth. Identifying things incorrectly. You'll not be able to discriminate between right and wrong. You'll not be able to discriminate between good and bad. You'll think you will consider bad as good and good as bad. You'll consider wrong as right and right as wrong. Basically, as you said, away from truth. You'll become uh, aloof from the truth. Sammoha. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammohat smruti vibramaha. The next step is from sammoha, from delusion comes smruti vibramaha. Smruti means memory. Vibhrama means loss. Smruti vibrama means loss of memory. When a person is in illusion, loss of memory. And Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammoha smruti vibramaha, smruti bramshat buddhinasho. Smruti bramshat buddhinasho. From smruti bramsha, from loss of memory comes loss of intelligence. Buddhinasha. Why is memory required for intelligence? Or why is intelligence lost when memory is lost?
You can't remember.
You can't remember because the word intelligence means to discriminate between good and bad. And how can you discriminate between good and bad? Only by remembering knowledge from the Shastras, or only by remembering your own past experiences, or yeah, sure, Hare Krishna. Sure, yeah, or yeah, Hare Krishna, or by remembering what happened to others. So you learn from experiences of others, you learn from your own experience, or you learn from Shastra, and based on that you make an intelligent decision. Now to do that, memory is needed. Okay, so when memory is lost, intelligence is lost. Smriti Bhramsha Buddhi Nasho. And the last one, Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. From loss of intelligence comes destruction. Pranashyati means destruction. So this is the 8-step process that Krishna explains very nicely. How a person can fall down from higher consciousness to lower consciousness. And it all starts with contemplation. How does delusion cause memory loss? That's a good question. Delusion, we described delusion or illusion, we described it as inability to discriminate between right and wrong. So how does it lead to loss of memory?
Why does stress it?
So illusion, it's basically like a covering. Okay, for example, when Duryodhana was there, when Krishna was there in front of Duryodhana, did Duryodhana recognize him? No, he did not, because there is a covering. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I am not visible to moodas, the ignorant people. I don't give darshan to moodas, ignorant people. So there is a covering. So Krishna is making Duryodhana to forget Krishna. He is giving forgetfulness about Krishna himself. Yeah, he is giving forgetfulness. So when somebody is in illusion, that means they are forgetful of the truth. They are forgetful of the truth. Yeah. So that's why delusion leads to loss of memory. Yeah. So that's how Krishna concludes chapter 2 by talking about this 8-step process of fall down. And then towards the end, Krishna talks about Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, all those things. And then hearing from Krishna that that cultivating knowledge, hearing from Krishna about Jnana Yoga, Arjuna thinks that cultivating knowledge is better than doing action. In other words, Jnana Yoga is better than Karma Yoga. That's what Krishna understands. From Krishna's talking, Arjuna understands that Jnana Yoga is better than Karma Yoga. That is correct only. Jnana Yoga is superior to Karma Yoga. But Arjuna's understanding is, if I simply cultivate knowledge, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do this horrendous act of fighting and killing my own people. So he wanted to be situated in knowledge. He wanted to abandon action and be situated in knowledge. And that's what Arjuna asks in the next chapter. Chapter 3, Karma Yoga. It starts with Arjuna's question, saying that, O Krishna, when you say that, when you recommend to be situated in knowledge, does that mean I don't have to act anymore? I can give up this fighting? Then Krishna clarifies, because that is a wrong understanding of renunciation. Arjuna wanted to renunciate the act of fighting. So that is false renunciation. We see people in the society also, they take up sannyasa, they wear saffron clothes, and in the name of sannyasa, they just abandon all activities. They go to Himalayas, but they cannot control their senses. Even though artificially they have renounced things, even though they are just wearing saffron clothes, it doesn't mean there is an internal transformation. That is not true renunciation. The true renunciation involves both cultivating knowledge and acting, but being detached from the results of the action. That is the true renunciation. Or in the later sections or later chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives more details about this true renunciation, saying that a true devotee of Krishna utilizes everything in the service of Krishna. He does not reject anything. He uses everything in the service of Krishna. Basically, renunciation means rejecting everything that is not connected to God. Right? But what is not connected to God? Everything is connected to God. Both matter and spirit, chara, achara, everything is connected to God. So we cannot say that, okay, there is something that is not connected to God and I am rejecting that. You cannot say that. So everything that you see in the material world is connected to God, because everything is an energy of Krishna. So the true renunciation involves using everything in the service of the Lord. But the false renunciants, the bogus, sannyasis, what they do is, in the name of sannyasa, they abandon action and then they just go and sit in a secluded place, saying that they are a sannyasi. Okay? Or they live in the society itself, wearing saffron clothes, pretending to be God-man, but in the background they do so many things. That's why Krishna tells in chapter 3 that unless one has achieved this internal transformation, they should not give up things. They should not give up action. So now Arjuna was not in a situation where he has achieved this internal transformation, right? He's just beginning the journey. Just like all of us who are beginning the journey to understand things, to understand what is soul, who is God, who am I, what is the relationship between me and God. We're all, just beginning our journey. Now there's no internal transformation. So we cannot give up action. And Krishna tells in chapter 3 that to realize this Atma Jnana, one must perform action. One must perform action. Because action purifies. When you act and give up the results, it purifies our mind and heart. Right now there are so many anarthas in our mind or in our heart. So what are the anarthas that are there in our heart?
6 anarthas.
Hmm?
6 anarthas.
Yeah. Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya. Those are there. But when it comes to performing an action or performing some work and then expecting the results, the anarthas or the contaminations that we have is the wrong mentality, the doership mentality, the proprietorship mentality, the controllership mentality, the enjoyership mentality. We have all these things. So what is doership mentality? Doership mentality means I am the doer. I am the doer. I have done this. Because of me, this has succeeded. So there is a small story where a surgeon in a hospital, he was a very successful surgeon. Uh, so one fine day, a saintly person comes to this hospital, and this surgeon, while talking to the saintly person, he tells him that I have become very successful in this city. I'm a well-known, reputable surgeon. Then the saintly person asks him, uh, so you are saying that when you succeed in the surgery, that means you have done this. Now the saintly person asks him, were there any cases where you have failed and where the patient has died? The surgeon says, yes. Yes, there were some cases where the surgery failed and the patient has died. Now, do you take responsibility for that? And the surgeon says, no, that's not my fault. That's either because of the situation of the patient, or or because of act of God, or other circumstances. I'm not responsible. I am not responsible for that, and I cannot be punished for that. Then the saintly person tells him, so just like how you are saying, you cannot be, you cannot be held accountable when there is a failure. How can you be held accountable when there is a success? Even though you're a good surgeon or great surgeon, you have done many surgeries very nicely, but this mentality of doership, saying that you are the only person who is doing this, only because of you all the surgeries have succeeded, that is not correct. So we have to get rid of these mentalities, that I have done this, or I own this, I can control this, I can enjoy this. So we have to get rid of these mentalities. So when we start performing action, when we start performing our duties and give up the results slowly, okay, give up the results, that involves many different things, giving up some monetary benefits, or giving or working for or working for the Lord. So it involves various things we can discuss when we come to that section. So when you practice this Nishkama Karma Yoga, that is working and then giving up the results, you will get purified of all the anarthas in your heart. So that's about Karma Yoga. And then next chapter is Jnana Yoga. Wow, we had an agenda of discussing 18 chapters and we are only at 4th chapter. Wow, we were aiming for moon and we have not even reached the stars. Okay. Yeah, what to do? And next week I am not available. So I'll leave you all at that cliffhanger. So keep hanging in there. And then next week, the other person is going to start the topic of Vedic cosmology. And then when I come back on December 9th, we'll resume this topic. We'll continue the summary of Bhagavad Gita and then take a deep dive into the shlokas. I know some of you are eagerly waiting, when can we read shlokas? But that day will come very soon. Yeah. Okay. So if there is a quick question, we can take it online or in person. Anybody has any question, comment, reflection?
The cosmology we are going to discuss, it's from Gita, it's described in Gita, or is it like...
It's described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, it's described in Bhagavatam, but he will explain how the 5 subject matters in Bhagavad Gita. What are the 5 subject matters? We discussed this. Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala and Karma. God, soul, time, material nature and karma. How these 5 subject matters of Bhagavad Gita are connected to the Vedic cosmology. So he'll give a holistic picture of everything. Yeah. And it's a very interesting information actually, how the different planets within this universe are lined, and then how there are billions of universes. What is the, what do you call that, topography, within this universe, topography, all the different planetary systems within this universe. We know only about the 9 planets, right? How many are there now? 9 or 7 or 8 or 10?
8.
Huh?
8 regular and 5 dwarf planets.
Yeah, okay. So, and then there are 3 planetary systems: higher planetary system, middle planetary system, and lower planetary system. And there are 14 planetaries. You might have heard these terms, right? Bhur, Bhuvaha, Swaha, Patala, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Tala, Tala, Patala. So he's going to explain all these things. What these planets are actually, what these planetary systems are actually all about. What is Meru? What is Airavata? Yeah, so many interesting things actually. It'll be mind-boggling. It'll be very difficult to comprehend also initially, but slowly you will get it. Okay. It's in second chapter, second canto. Yeah.
First canto is Inquisition of the Sages, I think.
First canto is questions by sages. Yeah. Okay. So then we can attend the Aarti. I think Aarti is almost done. Thank you everyone for joining. I'll see you after 5 weeks. Okay.
Enjoy the
Thank
stay
you.
in India.
Yeah. Thank you.